What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Becoming 1% Better podcast. I'm your host, Coach G, and today I'm going to talk about a subject that is close to my heart, and that is the term skinny fat. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard that term, right? Maybe some of you guys have been called that term. And I want to hop in here and just share with you guys my journey through overcoming having that body type and just some of the common mistakes that people make and the reason why they have that style of body. And first I want to start with, obviously, for any of you guys that don't know, what is skinny fat? What does that mean? That is when you see somebody that is slim in size, right? They're skinny. When you see them with clothes on, they just seem very slim, very thin. But as soon as they take their shirt off, right, they carry a little bit more body fat around the midsection or have very low amounts of muscle mass. I'm going to take a sip of my energy drink. So commonly when you see these people, they're people that usually don't lift weights, right? People that don't really eat enough protein consistently. Vegetarians, a lot of them deal with this body style, body type because of the protein intake. And also people that continuously focus on just cardio as a form of exercise. I'm not saying anything wrong with that. I'm just saying. And something that I made a mistake about, right, in the beginning of my journey, and the reason why I continue to have that body style for so long is because I thought, you see all these models, you see all these people on the magazines, I just kept thinking to myself, man, they're just so lean that their muscle is showing so much. So continuously I just kept myself in a consistent calorie deficit. I just continuously wanted to lose weight, lose body fat. I just wanted to get leaner. Big mistake. And that's one of the most common mistakes people make, is they just continue to think to themselves, well, if I just get leaner, that is going to show. If I just get leaner, there's going to be more muscle mass showing. I'm going to get that tone, that defined, that fit look. And that can't be further from the truth, honestly. Because something that is so important to understand is that if there is no muscle mass underneath that body fat or underneath the skin to showcase anyways, it doesn't matter how slim or how lean you get. There's still nothing to showcase underneath. So you're still going to have this flat look, right? No muscle, no density, no nothing. And that took me a long time to understand, right? It took me a long time to comprehend that in order for me to get lean and have muscle show, first I had to build the muscle underneath, right? So that when I did get lean, that muscle would showcase. I want to share some of the most common mistakes that people that have this body style, this body frame make. And I'm going to start with the first one, I think, is they constantly focus on crash dieting, right? They're always trying to find different ways to get rid of that last little body fat and last little bit of body fat. And they usually do it through drastic ways, right? They cut their carbs or they go on these extreme diets. Another common mistake that people that have this body type is they avoid strength training, right? They're constantly either doing cardio, running, Stairmaster. They're just constantly trying to do whatever is making them sweat more or burn more calories, because their ultimate goal is that, to get leaner. And then another mistake that I see people make is they constantly focus on the scale, right? And at this point, we should all understand that it doesn't matter what the number on the scale says. It doesn't tell you the full story, right? It doesn't tell you if it's body fat. It doesn't tell you if it's muscle mass. It doesn't tell you bone density, water weight, none of that stuff. So all they're constantly chasing is to lose weight consistently. But I promise you, that is not what is going to make you have that tone, that fit, that defined look you're looking for. You losing more when you have nothing underneath to showcase will never fix how your body looks. So now you ask, right? So then how do I fix it, right? How do I make my body look better? Number one, you have to focus on some type of strength training. I think it's important to understand that the only way our muscle is going to grow is by challenging it through strength training. Muscle mass grows from the adaptation we're creating through the repetitions, through the burn, through pushing that muscle past its comfort zone, what it's comfortable doing. So you gotta at least strength train 3 to 5 times per week. Number two, you're gonna have to make sure you're consuming enough protein. On average, you want to be consuming anywhere between 1 to 2 grams per pound of lean body mass, and that's person dependent, depending on your activity level, depending on what type of activities you're doing, all that good stuff. It also depends on if you're in a deficit, you're in a surplus, you're in maintenance, but anywhere between 1 to 2 grams of per pound of lean body mass. And if you need any help figuring that out, shoot me a comment down below. I'll reach out to you and I'll have our team help you figure out how much protein you should be consuming. The reason this is so important is because we need to understand that our body needs amino acids and protein to build muscle mass. That is literally the building block of muscle. And if you're not consuming enough of it, your body can't properly repair, replenish, and build the muscle. And with that, number three, I want to say, right, everybody is constantly trying to be in a deficit and lose weight and lose fat. But if your focus is to gain some muscle mass, right, if you're trying to build that muscle underneath, you're gonna have to either put yourself at maintenance or in a surplus. And there's many ways you can figure this out. There's tons of calculators online that you can literally just type in. They'll ask you some information like your age, your activity level, your sex, and it'll give you a good guesstimation, right? Because it's not 100% accurate to each individual. There's so many factors that play a role into how many calories you need. But something you can do, right? Again, maintenance or surplus. Something you can do is you can get one of those numbers from online. You can track your food and stay consistent at those calories for a week to 2 weeks, ideally for 2 weeks. And you want to see where your weight is going on an average of week to week. So for example, right, you weigh yourself an entire first week, right? So every day you weigh yourself same time, right after you use the restroom, first thing in the morning, before you eat anything. You weigh yourself every day, you write it down, then you take all 7 days and you add them. So you add all 7 days and then you divide that by 7. That's going to be your average weight for all 7 of those days. Then you do the same thing for the next week, right? You add every single day, you divide that by 7. And if the average of the second week is lower than the average of the first week, it means you're in a calorie deficit because you lost weight. So then you have to increase your calories. If your weight stayed the same, it means you're at maintenance, right, which is pretty solid, right? So then you keep it 1 more week, you do the same thing, you ensure that that's staying at a maintenance. And if you do it and the second week is a little bit higher, then it means you're in a surplus, which is good because you need to be either in maintenance or surplus for your body to be able to build that muscle mass. If any of you guys need any more help with that as well, again, shoot me a comment down below and my team would love to help you figure this out. And last tip, right, on how to fix this is I encourage you guys, stop focusing on just the weight. Really start taking either progress pictures, start doing measurements, start really focusing and emphasizing your progression on those things and also performance. Are you getting stronger? Because if you're getting stronger, it means your muscle's growing, it's getting stronger, it's getting denser, right? So you have to shift your focus from going, what do I weigh, right? Am I losing, am I whatever, to focusing on these things. Again, so body composition, so taking progress pictures, right? Doing measurements, and also focusing on your performance overall, not just the scale. And those are some tips on how you can fix that. Now, I just want to leave you guys with some key mindset shifts for you to be able to make this progress and actually fix being skinny fat. Number one, when it comes to the mindset aspect of things, right? Aim to be lean, muscular, and fit, not skinny. So stop calling it skinny. Lean, muscular, and fit. Tip number two, be patient. You have to understand body recomposition takes a long time. It's a long process. Gaining muscle mass takes a lot longer than it takes to lose body fat. So you cannot compare the two, right? It's not going to take the same amount of time. So if you come from a fat loss journey, right, and you lost some body fat, significant amount of body fat, understand that putting on muscle mass is going to take longer than that took. And last piece of mindset that I want to leave you with, man, is just really focus on becoming 1% better every day, all right? With your nutrition, with your workouts, with your strength, with your progress pictures. Just focus on the incremental progressions, because at the end of the day, right, you are going to see that progress compound over time. I'll tell you guys, man, it took me, I had to go into a surplus / maintenance for over 2 years for me to see a significant change in my body. And honestly, I'm super grateful I did. At first I was scared, right? Because you go from always wanting to lose, always wanting to be leaner, always wanting to lose weight, to you're telling me now that I may potentially gain some weight. Yes, you will, but it's okay, because in order for you to put on muscle mass, that needs to happen. You can't avoid it. And just understand, dude, if you go into this for 3 years, right? So you go 2 years, 3 years, and you do gain a significant amount of weight, you can always reverse that. Just go in a deficit, right? And then you lose some of that weight, but at least you were able to give your body a chance at gaining some muscle mass. So guys, I really hope this is helpful, right? This is something that I wish I would have known a lot earlier in my journey. It would have saved me a lot of time. It would have saved me a lot of frustration. It would have saved me a lot of years of constantly feeling like I wasn't moving in the right direction because I just looked skinny fat all the time. It didn't matter how much I lost weight. It didn't matter how lean I got. I still didn't have any muscle density underneath for my body to show. So again, guys, I hope this was helpful. And let me know down in the comments what was the biggest takeaway from this video, and share this with anybody who you think needs to hear it, right? If you have any friends out there that are skinny fat and they're just frustrated and constantly feel like they're not making progress, send them this video. But that's all I got for you guys today. I'm going to leave you guys with that. And just always remember, man, focus on becoming 1% better every single day. Let's go.